Aina is walking through the schoolyard, surrounded by burning desks, when a creepy girl suddenly attacks her. This girl reminds her of her friend G1. Soon, more ghosts appear, and Aina is completely surrounded. Just when she thinks she's going to die, she wakes up in her dorm bed. Tension is high on campus because it's the last week of exams, and everyone is feeling the pressure. Aina is more irritated than usual, especially by the rich students who get special treatment because of their wealth. However, she finds some relief when she hangs out with her best friend Yoon and the school prankster Hyun, who has a crush on her. The teachers are also stressed. Choi hasn't smiled in a while, and Hwang keeps criticizing Lee for being too strict with the students. During an exam, a student named Baeum hears strange whispers and suddenly screams when he sees a scary face on his test paper. He falls off his chair, and when Hwang checks on him, he finds nothing unusual on the paper but notices strange scars on Baeum's wrist. Baeum insists he didn't hurt himself and says it was her. Moments later, a funny song plays over the school speakers. Although the teachers refuse to stop the exam, they find out that it's one of Hyun's pranks. As punishment, Hyun is told to come to school over the weekend to help the teachers with chores. That afternoon, the teachers have a meeting with the principal, who tells them that students from their sister school will visit in 10 days. He asks them to create a special class for their top students and start training them over the weekend. The next day, the exam results are posted, and Aina and Yoon find out they've been selected for the special weekend class, which is a big deal because the top spots usually go to the rich kids. When Baeum checks his own results, he feels dizzy and sees the creepy girl from Aina's dream in the crowd. Suddenly, the girl's face merges with Aina's and Baeum attacks her. Other students quickly pull him away, and an ambulance is called to take him to a mental hospital. As the nurses drag him away, Baeum warns everyone that they're going to die soon. Later that evening, security guard Kim is doing his rounds when he hears a strange noise from under the building. To his shock, he finds Baeum, who has escaped the mental hospital and returned to school with blood all over his hands. Baeum looks terrified and keeps staring at something Kim can't see. When Kim moves his flashlight, Baeum suddenly sees a decaying body and runs away screaming. The next day is Saturday, and the special class begins. The teachers ask a student named Song to collect everyone's phones because they aren't allowed for the day. Hyun is also at school, serving his punishment. As the class starts, Hwang notices that a student named Min is missing but assumes she's just late. Meanwhile, as Song is taking the phones to the staff room, he hears a mysterious voice calling his name. He follows the voice to the bathroom, where he is suddenly attacked by an invisible force. It injures him severely and drags him by the ankle under a stall and into the ceiling. Back in the classroom, Choi starts her lesson by showing an educational video, but the video is suddenly interrupted by something terrifying. Min is trapped inside a glass container, and there's an equation written on its side. At first, Choi doesn't take it seriously and tries to turn off the video, but it won't stop. She sends Aina to the staff room to figure out what's happening. As Aina runs through the halls, she sees the same video playing on all the screens. When she reaches the staff room, she discovers that the internet has gone down. Suddenly, a creepy voice from the TVs announces that everyone will take a new kind of test. If they don't answer the questions, students will die one by one. If anyone tries to leave the campus, they'll die as well. The voice also says that all questions must be answered to get the final solution. Everyone is confused and scared. To make things worse, Kim returns with more bad news. All the phone lines have been cut. None of the students have their phones with them, and the teachers' phones have been broken. Kim is sent to watch the school grounds while Aina and the teachers go back to the classroom, where the students are panicking because the glass container holding Min is slowly filling with water. Thinking it might be a joke, Lee attacks Hyun, and Hwang has to pull them apart to stop things from getting out of hand. The teachers start arguing, and in all the chaos, they forget about the problem with the water container. By the time they realize it, it's too late. Min drowns when the container overflows. Seeing someone die for real makes Lee believe that Hyun isn't behind all of this, so he decides to head across the street to find a phone. Choi reminds them of the rule, but nobody listens, and the students follow Lee. However, when they reach the reception, they learn the rule was true all along. Lee returns covered in blood and dies as soon as he steps back through the door. The eerie voice reminds them again that they must stay inside. Meanwhile, Baeum manages to enter the building and wanders around aimlessly. He stops to doodle in a notebook while hearing strange noises. Suddenly, the creepy voice informs everyone that their next challenge involves an audio clue. It hurts Song, forcing him to scream into the microphone and confess that his sin is having a greedy mother. The voice then tells them to go to the auditorium, where they have to piece together a phrase related to greed using words scattered on the floor. After much thinking, Aina and Hwang come up with the correct sentence, but they run out of time. Song's body drops into the middle of the auditorium, his face covered in candle wax, and the answer to the riddle is carved into his chest. To make things worse, another student, Cha, goes missing. Aina suddenly has an idea and rushes out of the auditorium, with Hyun following her. They stop in front of the student ranking board, and Aina confirms her theory the students are being killed in order of their ranking. Min and Song were ranked first and second, and the missing Cha is third, Yoon is fourth, and Aina is fifth. Back in the auditorium, the wealthier students think they'll be safer in their dorms, so they plan to sneak out. Yoon overhears them and joins their group. They manage to convince Hwang to let them go, pretending they need to use the restroom. They sprint to the dorms, unaware that Baeum is listening to their footsteps in the hallway. Meanwhile, Aina and Hyun return to the auditorium auditorium and tell the teachers what they've discovered. Realizing Yoon could be the next target, they split the class into two search groups, one led by Choi and the other by Hwang. As night falls, Cha has been missing for 6 hours, and neither group has made any progress. Suddenly, the door to the dorm where the hiding students are starts shaking, and something strange creates a hole in the wood. It grabs one student by the hair, pulling his head through the hole and killing him instantly. At the same time, Hwang's group spots a light turning on in a random classroom. They go to check it out and find the next challenge on the board. They must solve a puzzle using the pictures to decode a password for the computer on the desk. While Hwang's group gets busy with this task, Choi's group sees the lights flickering at a dorm window. They rush there to find the students in total panic, pulling at each other and screaming. No one notices Byum hiding nearby, but he sees a ghostly figure in the hallway. In the midst of all the chaos, the lights suddenly return to normal, and the group realizes the attacker made a mistake. They kidnapped a girl named Soo Jin instead of Yoon, who never even left her room. In the classroom, Hwang's group finally figures out the password on a warm spring day. Remember the auditorium? They enter it into the computer, but they're too late. Cha is dead, and his body appears on the screen next to the decaying face of a creepy woman. Horrified, they scream and flee, eventually reuniting with Choi's group. Exhausted, everyone heads to the cafeteria to grab some food. While discussing the clue from the password, Aina realizes the situation is linked to her former best friend, Ji-won. Ji-won used to be the top student in their class because she worked hard to maintain her scholarship, as her family couldn't afford the school fees. However, after one important exam, Ji-won shockingly ended up in 6th place, meaning she would have to leave the dorm after the term ended. A few days later, Ji-won was found dead in the auditorium under strange circumstances. While the students were eating in the cafeteria, they started to wonder if Ji-won's ghost was behind the strange events happening to them. Hwang, looking uncomfortable, dismissed the idea, saying that ghosts weren't real. Then, Kim joined them for dinner, and a strange melody started playing somewhere in the building, signaling the start of the next test. Hwang, tired of everything, decided to look for the murderer, while Choi, Aine, and Hyun followed the music to the staff room, where they found a puzzle in the form of an anagram. To solve it, they needed to piece together pictures to recreate a photo of the school. Meanwhile, Soo Jin was seriously injured by the attacker and placed in a washing machine. Hyun retrieved a matching picture from the reception to help solve the puzzle. They managed to complete it, revealing the message, "I know who killed me. My anger will endure. Face the truth." At the same time, Hwang heard strange noises and saw shadows out of the corner of his eye. Suddenly, a mysterious force attacked him, pushing him back. Hwang ran and hid in a closet, trying hard not to scream as a knife repeatedly stabbed the door. Luckily, the attacker left and Hwang escaped, bumping into Choi and the others. Before they could exchange information, they heard a beeping sound, which led them to a washing machine finishing its cycle. Inside, they found Soo Jin dead. Choi became more convinced that all of this was linked to Ji-won. However, when she turned to ask Aina's opinion, she realized Aine was missing. Meanwhile, in the cafeteria, Yoon noticed that everyone around her had fallen asleep. Instead of worrying, she put on her headphones to listen to music. Unfortunately, this meant she didn't hear the decaying woman sneaking up behind her, who managed to kidnap her this time. At the same time, Aine, in the dorms, followed a mysterious whisper and discovered the creepy girl from her nightmares drawing on Byum's earlier doodles. The ghost tried to grab Aine, making her scream, but by the time the teachers and Hyun arrived, the creepy girl had disappeared. Realizing they needed a plan, Hwang asked Hyun how he had pulled off a prank in the past. After Hyun explained the setup, the group went to the PA room and found a wire that connected all the screens throughout the school. They decided to follow it underground, hoping it would lead them to the creepy woman. Instead, they encountered Byum, who attacked Aine immediately. Hyun quickly defended her, but during the struggle, Byum stabbed Hyun, killing him. Byum then turned on Aine again, but this time Hwang stepped in and, in a fit of rage, killed Byum. Before they had time to mourn, the melody for the next riddle played, along with the sound of Yoon screaming. Aine and the teachers followed the noise to a hallway with a locked door. To open it, they needed to solve a math problem written on the door. Inside, they found Yoon hanging upside down by her ankle, forced to watch Min's lifeless body floating while a candle burned through the rope holding her. Choi quickly solved the math problem and unlocked the door. While Hwang tried to get Yoon down safely, Aina hugged her to comfort her. Sadly, the creepy woman wasn't finished, and despite them solving the puzzle, she still raised Yoon higher before dropping her to the floor, killing her instantly. Hwang noticed steps leading to the roof and climbed them, where he confronted the creepy woman. She tried to stab him, but Hwang fought back and managed to kill her after a tough battle, finally ending the nightmare. Later, a memorial was held in the auditorium to honor the students who had lost their lives. Ainade can't handle the intense pain and goes up to the roof to get some fresh air. There, she's stunned to find the paper sheets with the test plans. But there's an even bigger shock: a photograph of Ji-won with her family, showing that her parents were the creepy woman and Kim, the guard. Just then, Kim appears from behind, grabs Ainai, and kidnaps her, revealing that he had been working with his wife the whole time, and they were determined to complete their plan. Kim ties Ainai to a chair and fills the auditorium with gas, speaking to everyone through the speakers. He confesses that he's Ji-won's father and expresses satisfaction that the wealthy parents are finally experiencing the pain he's endured for the last 2 years. On the big screen in the auditorium, Kim plays a video he found on Ji-won's phone showing her being murdered, and he challenges the killer to reveal themselves. As panic spreads in the auditorium over the possibility of a murderer being among them, it's uncovered that Gi-won's killer was Hwang. He had been bribed by the wealthy parents to give their children better grades, which is the only reason Gi-won ranked 6th. When Ji-won confronted him, demanding that he fix the situation or she'd report him to the principal, Hwang panicked and killed her. Beom witnessed the whole event but chose to remain a bystander, which led to his constant hallucinations of Gi-won haunting him ever since. In the chaos, Hwang feels trapped and loses control, grabbing the emergency axe from the wall and threatening anyone who approaches him. Before he can attack anyone, Kim steps in, seizes the axe, and exacts his revenge by slowly killing Hwang, ignoring his pleas for mercy. Flashbacks show that Kim had murdered the original guard to take his place, proving that he had been planning this since Gi-won's death 2 years prior. Meanwhile, Choi seizes the moment to rush out of the auditorium and rescue Aine. A few weeks later, Aine checks the student rankings and is happy to see that she's now in first place. However, when she turns around, her face merges with Gi-won's, hinting that she may have been possessed by Ji-won's spirit all along, which could explain why Beom kept attacking her. Subscribe for popcorn. We are racing towards 500 subscribers.